Hey everybody, this is Jim Neeb from Jim Neeb Woodworks. I want to do a quick video to introduce a new tool that I just got in the shop a couple days ago. This is the Opt Lasers XT8. It's the new 8 diode 45 watt laser. We'll swing over here, take a look at it. So this is the laser itself. Its official name is the PLH3D, which is kind of the first letters of all their part numbers, but XT8. I think the XT stands for kind of extended technology as far as their lenses go, because when they started with the XTs was with the XT50 here, which is a single diode laser. And what they did with that is they compressed the laser beam so that it was symmetrical. The previous ones were more rectangular shaped, and that's what they did with this model as well. So if you looked at the old 15 watt laser, it was 3 diodes in parallel. And then they came out with this one, which is the 30 watt model, and it has 6 in parallel. And what you see is 3 diodes or 6 diodes in series. This one actually has 8, but they kind of did a neat trick where they put 4 on top of 4. I don't know what kind of mirrors or optics they use inside to do that, but it's kind of cool because you basically get the beam width of 4 diodes, but you get the power of 8. And then they have a cool switch here that you can actually turn on half of those diodes, so you get just 4 in case you want to do just a little bit finer cutting or like rastering, you know, a picture image or something, because it will give you just a slightly better beam width with 4 diodes than 8, but surprisingly there's not as much difference as you'd think there, and I'll show that later. But just wanted to show what comes with this. They introduced 3 new things all at one time. The laser itself, which as I said, this is you can see from the size. I go up a quick dot. It's a little bit smaller and a little bit lighter than the 30 watt, and the reason is they came out with a little bit different cooling technology here. They went to heat pipe technology, which kind of came out of the laptop industry and the computer industry, so they're able to get the heat out of this easier than the old style. For most of these, they've been just adding more heat sinks and cooling fans and trying to blow harder with fans. So this one is actually heavier than the new model. So it's nice. It's about a ½ pound lighter than this one, which is good. About the same size, a little bit shorter, but about the same size width. And then you can see with the XT50 up next to it, it's a large laser. There's no doubt about it. But I mean, it's 45 watts, has a longer focal length lens and things like that. So the other thing they introduced is a new quick dock, a magnetic dock plate, and then the other side looks like this. So they have beefier pins with it. They have the pass-through for air on this, because all of their newer lasers have air assist nozzles on them. So the old laser dock didn't have the facility to pass air, so it was not really a quick dock, because you still had to connect your air manually. So this really takes care of all of your electrical and your air all in one thing. So they introduced this new model here. This one is nice. It has it's breakaway capable, so if you bump something, it'll knock it loose, so you won't tear up your laser. I added this tether to hook it into my system so that if you do knock it loose, it doesn't drop the laser on the floor. You can also see that the kit comes with this nice, you can sort of see it off the side here, it's kind of a universal mounting plate for the laser, but also for the docking plate. And it's got a whole mess of different options: tapped holes, regular holes, etc. So you can mount to a bunch of machines. What was really cool, I thought, is my existing hardware brackets that I use. These are my, this lever comes down. This is my electronic touch plate mechanism. It's electrically conductive and goes to my Pro plate. I can set Z height with this, and they have a couple of tapped holes on each side here, and I was able to just bolt that to it. So all of these holes are pretty convenient that way. They have a heavier duty cable, because this laser can draw up to 8 amps. And then the other cool thing that they've just updated is they came out with a new revision of the adapter kit. So this box generally comes with the laser kits. It has a input with, it essentially takes all kinds of different inputs from different kinds of CNC machines and then translates it to what the laser needs coming out here. But the original coaxial power connector has been supplemented with a hardwire power connector as well, which I really like because this this one's a better higher current capability than the previous one, but I still like these hardwired screw terminals versus a coaxial connector better. So there's more options here, and then they've added a whole basically all the electrical signals that used to exist have also been doubled up, and they've added opto isolation on here too for some of those CNC machines that might have difficulty with electrical isolation of the signaling. So it's got more options. If you remember, the old one didn't have any menus or anything. You had to kind of toggle along and just use these 3 buttons to kind of figure out. This one has firmware in it, so you can arm, disarm. You can go into your test fire. If I go into the test fire mode, I can actually set the value of the test fire PWM percentage versus on the old one it just fired at 100% for a minute or for a second. You didn't really have any choice, but of the parameters of that, you just could fire or not fire. This lets you set all that. So a much more capable box. I think they said this is good for up to like 75 watts or something like that. So they've increased the power capability because this box has to control the power output to the laser, and the old one could not do much past the 15-watt laser. So nice upgrade here. It's nice, and the menus are very easy to follow through and make adjustments between the different modes for all kinds of different CNC machines. You know, you can invert the PWM or not, and add arm signals and emergency off signals and things like that. So very capable box. So that comes with the kit, with the laser, with the power cables and all kinds. I mean, Opt does a very good job of supplying all the parts that you would need to retrofit this, just like they did with all their other kits. And then the laser dock is a separate line item. It doesn't come with the kit, as far as I know, but it's a very nice addition to go with it. What I really like about it is, you know, I bought an extra one because you only really need one backing plate because it mounts to your CNC machine. But then, you know, I got one here on my XT50. I've got one on this new XT8, and so I can the pin out on this is the same for both lasers, so I can swap between these 2 lasers if I'm trying to do big cutting jobs or fine work. So very nice combination here. I'm not going to do a full review here. This is really just, a lot of people have been bugging me about, you know, a first look at this laser because it just came out. This is the first batch they shipped, and everybody's been asking, hey, when are you going to get it and do a video? So I'm doing this quick. I've only actually made a dozen different cuts and just basically got it working today. I'm going to do a full detailed review in a week or two to follow up on this and just kind of get some extremes of different materials and stuff. But I did want to cover a couple of things. Everybody's asking like how thick can you cut and stuff, and this quick shot here will kind of give you a hint. That's 3/4 inch oak. So I'm gonna go through a couple of items next that I've cut with this, and that's about it. I'm going to try to keep this short, okay? If you have any questions, you can always comment below and ask, and I always respond. As always, Opt does a great job with packaging. This shows the top layer of the box. They've got laser cut foam, tightly fitting everything, so you got the laser and a couple of the other components here. And on this one, you see the bottom layer of the box. It's got its own foam packaging with all the big cables, so you get a ton of screws, mounting plates, another, you know, heavy duty cable that goes between the adapter box and the laser, cables to go up to the adapter box, and then a very nice Meanwell power supply. That's that's one of the things I really like about Opt. Like, the power supplies that they ship are very high quality, reputable brand power supplies. So it's very high quality all the way through. So here's an image with the 4 diodes turned on, and the focus optimized. One thing I noted with this laser is because it has a 40 millimeter focal length lens, which is compares to like the 15-watt laser had about a 30 millimeter. You get a longer, you get a thinner waist beam for a longer, greater distance. So what you'll notice, like doing these focusing tests, is to do the first rough focusing to kind of fine tune this. I actually had to use my gross adjustment file. So what this file is a series of steps on the Z height to find the best focal point. And in this case, I'm showing the fine one. It's going from minus 25 thousandths of an inch to plus 25 thousandths of an inch on each side of Z0. And I use this to tell where the best thinnest line is on both the x-axis and the y-axis. And you can tell here there isn't much difference from plus to minus 25 thousandths, which tells me this is this is kind of the attribute of a longer focal length, which is nice. It's less fussy about being perfectly focused. If this were run on, say, the 15-watt laser, you would see a clear difference in line width between minus 25 and plus 25. So that's a positive thing for us for cutting, for example, because it keeps a thinner beam for a longer depth into the wood, makes it more effective. The other thing you can see here is that these lines, each group of 3 is spaced at 10 thousandths of an inch, or a quarter of a millimeter approximately. So these lines here are pretty symmetrical between X and Y, which we like too. And then you can see that the gap in between says this is probably, I would guess, 7 thousandths of an inch wide, which is what, 175 microns. So that's right in there with their specification of less than 180. Okay, and here I've turned on all 8 diodes, and you can see there's really not much difference. You can tell it's slightly, maybe half to 1,000, so maybe an extra 25 or 20 microns wider in X and Y than with just 4 diodes on, but that's really impressive considering it's basically double the power density because it's in the same amount of area. One of the advantages of having 4 versus 8 is you get better resolution for your lower power levels. So if you think about it, 1% power with 8 diodes on when it's focus tight is actually will mark things. I actually, with my test fire at 0.2%, can burn through my black paper that I use for test focusing. So you really want good resolution down under about 15%. So if you're etching something down there, you're going to want to just turn on the 4 diodes, because it essentially gives you, each percent is half as much power that it's representing. So you can fine tune that better, and you'll have just that slightly tighter beam for better resolution and stuff. And then when you really want to blast something, you're cutting deep things, or you want to cut fast, obviously you turn on the 8 diodes and let it rip. Here we're cutting 1/8 inch Baltic birch. It's 3-ply. It's cutting 40 inches per minute at 100% power, 1 pass. It didn't quite cut through on one of the sides, so I didn't quite have all the focus optimized either. I was focusing on the top. It probably should have been adjusted down halfway, and I did not have my downdraft table. And this was the very first cut. I didn't have the air assist adjusted perfectly on here. So I think with some fine tuning, this will cut Baltic birch consistently somewhere around 35 to 40 inches per minute, which is about exactly 3 times faster than what the 15-watt laser would do. Okay, I never really was able to cut 1/4 inch MDF very well. The amount of glue in MDF makes it hard to cut with the laser. So I set this one at 15 inches per minute, 100% power, and it cut through very handily in one pass. It's a very square, clean cut. So I'm really impressed with that. I'm sure I can go faster to cut through this, but so 1/4 inch is a nice thickness for this laser because of the longer focal length. It keeps the sidewalls of the cut very straight at a 1/4 inch yet. So this is great. I mean, it probably will do 15 or 20 inches per minute yet, but that is an awesome cut. So this was cut through 1/2 inch Baltic birch, which is a pretty tough plywood to cut. I think this is about 10 ply or something. 3 passes at 15 inches per minute. Seems to cut a little better if you do multiple passes at higher speeds versus trying to blast all the way through in one pass at a really slow speed. There's a little bit less charring. And it's a pretty flat cut. It's not perfect, you know, like a 1/4 inch cut is a little straighter. The beam is starting to diverge a little bit here at the bottom, but this is a pretty good cut. You can clean it up a little with the sandpaper. Pretty. Okay, I did some test passes here just to kind of see what this thing will do with about 3/4. This is a slightly over 3/4 of an inch piece of oak. I think it's red oak. So you can see here, I actually was able to cut all the way through. This was 3 passes at 10 inches per minute. Basically, that last 1/4 inch it struggles with. So if you look at this cut I made here, this was 1 pass at 15 inches per minute. So you can see at 15 inches per minute, it cut the first 1/2 inch of this very quickly and easily. And then when I was playing around over here, basically that last 1/4 inch is tough. So it's not a power problem, it's a power density problem. So the beam is starting to spread out wide enough where the power density down here just isn't enough to cut very fast. And you can also see it's starting to spread out. You know, the sidewall isn't perfectly straight. So I would say for hardwoods, which it's kind of funny, you'd think a hardwood would be harder to cut than, say, plywood or MDF, but it's not. The Baltic birch and MDF are about the hardest things to cut from that are close to wood because of all the extra glue. Once you get to solid woods, it's actually a little bit easier. So I would say this laser easily cuts very, you know, nice, perfectly square cuts at a reasonable rate in one pass. You know, 15 inches per minute for a 1/2 inch solid wood is awesome. Then you can cut 3/4 inch, but you're going significantly slower to get that last 1/4 inch. So that's not really a limitation of power here. That's a limitation of the lens itself not having an even longer focal length. But none of the previous Opt lasers and diode lasers that I've used at all can go this deep. So, you know, the combination of power and the longer focal length of this laser compared to the previous models really, you know, it brought it from something that was, if you looked at the 15-watt laser, cut 1/8 inch material very well, and then it started to struggle with 1/4 inch. It would cut it again, but it would take a couple passes. This one cuts 1/8 inch like butter, and even 1/4 inch very well in one pass on tough materials like MDF and Baltic birch. And then hardwoods, as you can see, I would call it, you know, the sweet spot, all the way up to a 1/2 inch very well. And then you know, in a pinch, you can cut 3/4 inch. I'm going to try a couple of projects with this. I've got a scroll saw project that I want to see now if I can replace this scroll saw with the laser, because it does cut 3/4 inch, and you know, a scroll saw is tough going really with this hard of a wood, this thick. So when you look at that, you know, even though the laser is struggling with that last 1/4 inch, this still is significantly faster than trying to scroll saw this, at least with my skill level on the scroll saw. So this is really, to me, a whole new level. I think Opt has kind of hit a home run with this laser. I now got the two where I say the XT50 is really the sweet spot for a single diode laser where you want super fine resolution, and this one is kind of a very complementary laser for the cutting, high speed rastering. Like if you wanted to raster a very large image where your pixel size could be bigger, this would be the laser for that as well. And then the combination with the dual mode to get a little bit better resolution when you need it by turning off half the diodes. That's a really slick feature. Another thing that's included with this laser is a little safety cover to shield your eyes from some reflection. Now, you should always wear safety glasses or your laser glasses with when using these lasers anyway, and especially this one because of its power. But they're attempting to make some, you know, a little bit more protection on this. Now, a lot of people running a machine like this, they don't really have an enclosure around it like a typical CO2 laser does. So Opt included this, and it just pops on here like this, and you can see it leaves the tip protruding, but any back reflections are going to hit this blue light blocking lens or shield, so you can see how it goes on there. I have not had a chance to try this yet, but it seems like the combination of this pretty wide and low shroud plus this would pretty much prevent you know, any stray reflections coming out. And that combined with the safety glasses, I feel like this is a very safe setup. I will be testing this in my full review video, so you'll get a chance to see how good it works there. All right, that's my review of my initial look at this new XT8 laser from Opt Lasers. There's one more thing I wanted to say. If you notice, there's really a lot of stuff that's shipped with this laser. It's not just the laser head. You get, when they sell a kit for a CNC machine, you get all the cables you need, you get the laser, you get a quality power supply for it, the adapter box, and one of the things, I don't want to sound like I'm trying to sell this or anything, but I kind of am, because if you look at the Chinese laser heads that are out there, you know, there's 40-watt Chinese heads, but they're getting to be well over $1,000 just for the head, and you don't get the power supply and stuff. And frankly, the quality of those, you know, I've seen a lot of people still complaining with those that they don't last very long. So they're kind of hit and miss. Whereas the prices on the Opts have actually been coming down. You know, if you looked at the price of the 15-watt laser when it came out, it was in the high $2,000, almost $3,000. This laser, I believe, is going to list for somewhere around $2,200. It's on sale. They've got a promotion going on right now for the launch itself. That's a really good deal at like $1,800. But if you look at what you get with this laser at the $2,200 compared to pretty much anything else out there, and compare the quality and everything, this really, there's no comparison to me. Like, if there's no way I would spend $1,000 for anything else versus just going and buying this. You know, Opt has a really good reputation for commercial grade equipment. I talk to a lot of people around the world who have these, and they just, they don't break. They keep on working. They've designed the drivers to keep the diodes from getting overdriven. They have very good cooling so they don't get overheated, and that's really what makes these things last. And then in the off chance that you do have a problem, every single person I've heard talk to that has had issues, Opt has taken care of them with great customer service. So I'm really happy about this laser. They seem to continue their technology advancement trend and still been able to keep the pricing stable or lower, which is great for the rest of us. So I'm going to follow this video up with a full review with lots more materials, stones and metals and leather and all of that kind of stuff. Hopefully in a couple of weeks. I need some time to play with it and get through some more testing. But this was my first look of only using it for about 6 hours. So I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, feel free to comment below. I always answer all my comments.